Welcome to another edition of the YouTube channel Plugin Police and Too Many Plugins. Today we're going to talk about Battalion, about some extra features I found in Battalion, and also a little bit about the stability of Tracktion WaveForm 13. In terms of stability, I would say the Tracktion WaveForm 13 probably is more stable than 12. So let me just create some space over here. Yeah, it is a little bit more stable. I experienced less crashes. Still, I think that the CPU utilization is still a little bit high. I've noticed that in other plugins it's a little bit lower. We'll go in a moment. We'll go to the performance metrics of the PC to show how this is running. We have, of course, also in this moment OBS running, recording this, so that takes also about 30% of CPU utilization, so there you go. But yeah, that could be a little bit better, that still. And also the sound engine, again, I say the sound engine in my PC has a little bit to desire, but we'll go also now to the performance metrics and show you also why this could also be an issue with my PC itself and drivers or old hardware related, and not in perdition if not per definition a problem of traction itself. For example, I've here noticed that the bit width runs a little bit smoother, a little bit less, is a little bit less resource intensive, but that could also be just the way their programming is, so that is also a little bit difficult to say if bit width or traction in that is better or worse. So that's a little bit difficult. We'll go into the performance metrics and I'll show you what I mean. Where are we? Yes, sorry, it's in Portuguese, but there you go. So OBS in this moment is using 22%, but in reality normally it's a little bit more. It's actually a little bit more, 30%, but 22% in this moment. Waveform is not using much, 10%, because the plugin is not running. But performance metrics, so the CPU over here, it's an 8-core FX 8300 from 2012. This has 8 cores, but not actually, well, it has technically really 8 physical cores in there, but it has shared memory modules and cache modules. So in reality, each core is sharing the cache with another core. So in reality, 8 cores, you have only 4 usable cores in terms of cache and memory controller, and then 4 cores and then 8 threads. So that's a little bit the same as an i7. It's a 4-core and an 8-threaded CPU that has 4 physical cores and 8 hyper-threaded cores. And in AMD is then a simultaneous multi-threading SMT. But so in single-thread performance, this PC is really bad. But in multi-thread performance, it's actually quite good, even still today. Well, this is from 2012. So AMD also got a lawsuit about this. And in Windows, they even changed it. First, it said they always Nucleo, so that's cores. It said 8 cores and then 8 logical cores, so that's 8 threads. But even Windows have changed it after the lawsuit, and have changed it here to show you that it has 4 cores and 8 threads. Well, technically it has 8 cores, but they're sharing the cache, so in reality it's just a 4-core 8-threaded chip. So there you go. 16 gigs of memory we are using. It's now using 4.2 with OBS running, and then with Tracktion running. In OBS, by the way, I'm running several plugins. The microphone you're listening to goes through a mixing table, goes in an equalizer, through the inserts. That's just all analog, and with a low pass and high pass filter on it. And then it goes through USB from the mixing table in the computer. And then in OBS we are running 6 plugins or something still on top of it, on top of the audio from the microphone you're listening. So that's now also running in the background. So you can see that this old chip still performs actually quite well. All things considered, what it's doing in this moment. So here are the performance metrics, so you know what we are working with. Now to come back to a Battalion, I found out some more. Of course, I was the other day using it for the first time. But if you go into voices, you have your 8 tracks over here, and actually the way it works is you need to trigger here 1 track. You have here a synth section, so for each 8 tracks, that then in the sequencer has 64 step sequences. You can after that set up over here if you want. And then with the shift, pitch, retch, envelope, pond, vary, probe, sense, and macros that you can still add also on your sequences. But if you go back here to voice, then you can see that you have here in channel 1, we have now a synth. We have a pillow sound, a sampler, we have nothing loaded. And then in the voice preset, we have a chirp kick. But if you then go to channel 2, you see that this changes. This is now a snare, this is a dub killer ride. And then this is a heavy kick. And then you go to 3, that has, by the way, has a resin on it, no sample loaded and no voice loaded. 4, it has on the voice impact bass, and the synth is a clap. And so there you see that you can here add all sorts of things to each individual, let's call it drum pad, you know. So your launcher thing, like you would have also on an MPC, you can throw a synth on it, a sample on it, and a voice preset on it. Per each of the 8 drum tracks that can then be up to 64 sequences in length. So let me just put something playing over here. This is channel 1, we can load it in a sample on top of it. We're gonna make a lot of noise now, but we go to 2, we have a dub killer ride and a heavy kick. You put your voice preset on it also. A glitch. We go channel 4, we have nothing here because this is not triggered in the sequencer. I can see that now because it's not going, so this one is now not triggered in the sequencer. And number 5, we can do a noise lead, adaptive step. Number 6, we got reason, we can change it to a combi. Change to a combi. Vocoder. A kick. Hi-hat. This is only like for a short moment triggered in the sequencer. This one is not triggered also in the sequencer. But there you can see, let's just put another preset over here. Channel 4 we have an ARP and an additive ring. Channel 5 here we have no sample loaded and an air pillow on the voice. That one's not triggered in the sequencer. We have a pad on the G string over here, granular. So I'm gonna solo that. Granular is very CPU intensive. Look over here. We're hitting almost 90% CPU utilization. can see that all the 8 individual drum pads can have an individual synth, an individual sampler, and an individual voice preset. And then in performance mode, you can then add here all sorts of effects and stuff on top of it. And in sequencer, you can go here up to a 64 step sequence length, and then also having all these variations over here to give more movement and more stuff in your sequences. So this is really advanced piece of kit. I don't even want to get really used to this. Let me just turn this off. I don't even want to get really used to it, because the more I use this, the more I'm liking it. So let me see how this is all still going. In front here, yes. The more I start liking it, I like this one a lot more than a Rhythmix. You can do a hell of a lot more with it. The interface I find sometimes still a little bit jumpy. I don't know how to call it exactly, but sometimes the interface is still a little bit strange. That of a Battalion. I don't think it's so easy the way they have set that up with the pads that are in a vertical plane. I think they should be on a horizontal plane in the screen. I think that would make a little bit more sense, you know. As you can see, the computer's now already suffering over here, so I'm going to turn this off. Let me see if it now still opens without having anything running. No, it's already a little bit suffering. There's really a lot you can do with Battalion. I really like this plugin, and I have only 12 days left of using it, but I don't want to get too used to it, because I'm really liking this plugin already, and that's going to be then really a shame as you start really learning something, and then you all of a sudden don't have it anymore. And I don't know so many really options for this. I think this thing is almost like a full-fledged workstation, really, to be very honest. You can do so much with this, you know, especially if you see that you have these 8 tracks here, but that every 8 tracks see that as pads on your sampler can have an individual synth, an individual sampler, an individual voice preset. Then with all the effects still, performance on it, sequences, and go on and on, mix effects, you know, you can really go mental with this. So I really like this program. I'm really how do you call it? I don't want to use it too much, because I really like it, and in the moment I'm not going to have it anymore. So there you go. This is really one I can really highly recommend. The only thing I think is a little bit is this over here. I think sometimes a little bit clunky to stop from things. In my opinion, but that's just my opinion, I think in that Rhythmix did it better. It had this over here in the horizontal plane on the bottom to trigger, and I think that makes a little bit more sense also if you start looking here to the way you would trigger things, you know. Of course, if you use hotkeys or something over here, you know, shortcuts or something, keyboard shortcuts or something to trigger things, or a MIDI controller, then all doesn't really matter so much. But I would like to see them actually more on the horizontal plane instead of the virtual. How do you call it? The vertical plane over here. That's for me one of the things that I first didn't also find the other day. It was the first time I tried it out, but now I start really looking a little bit how this works. You can just select individual synthesizers for each of your drum pads. Let's call it like that. This is a drum machine, so drum pads, sort of like an MPC, and you can then also add individual samples on each of the drum pads, and then individual voices, and then all your effects, and then setting up the sequences to create a whole arrangement. Like a tracker, sort of, only then also on the horizontal plane. So, but there you go. I like it really very much, Battalion. I would really like to get this program a little bit later on when it's financially also achievable for me to do, because I really like this program, and there are not many programs like this that can do all of this out of the box like this. So, but there you go. Can highly recommend Battalion. $200 is well a lot, you know. Now it's still... it's an introductory price for $129, and then you get Lion or Leon synthesizer that is normally also 200, but is now for 50 euros. And if you now acquire Battalion for 129 for the introduction price, so not 199 but 129, then you get Leon. The other synthesizer of them you get for free, which is normally also 199. So actually for 129 you're getting 2 plugins that are normally $400. So it's totally worth it, you know, especially with this introductory price of receiving this one for 129 and then getting Leon that's normally 199 for free included. So I can highly recommend it, and I'm really it's my favorite plugin developer, Unfiltered Audio. I can even show you that over here. I have tons and tons of stuff of Unfiltered Audio. If you go into Plugin Alliance, and I'll show you what I have of Unfiltered Audio. Oh, I'm here now. I'm wrong over here. Plugin Alliance. So this is the plugins that I have of Unfiltered Audio. Battalion is then just a trial of 14 days. But these are the other ones that I have. I have audio, Unfiltered Audio Dent, I have Fault, I have Indent 2, I have Instant Delay, I have Sandman Pro, I have Spec Ops, that's one of my favorite glitch tools, and an Audio Zip, my favorite creative compressor. And then Sandman also, Pro Delay and Echo, it's really, really, really good. And Fault also, Fault is sort of like a pitch shift tool or something. And Dent is a distortion tool, and Indent. And the instant delay is, of course, this one. It's a simple delay, but you can also throw modulation on it. So all these things have full modulation on it. LFOs you can add on it, sequencers you can add on it. And that's why I love them so much. And then Unfiltered Audio Zip is just a fantastic compressor. Many really good presets, and many also advanced automation and LFOs. So advanced modulation possibilities. So these are my favorite plugins over here. Then of course you have some other ones I like also very much. Like very much the LA2A tube compressor by Universal Audio. Use it all the time on vocals. I like also very much the Pulsar Smasher and the Pulsar W495 equalizer that I use a lot also. I love those plugins. So there's more plugins out there that I use on a regular basis, but yeah, to be very honest, and I love, of course, also what for me is one of my favorite plugins is Infiltrator by Devious Machines. I can also highly recommend this multi-stack effects plugin. You can really crazy things you can do with this thing. Check my video for Infiltrator. This is also like $130, and it's just a must-have plugin. Highly recommended by everybody in the production world. So there you go. These are my favorite plugins. Until the next time, stay safe, take care. I'll catch you in the next one.